Hello, everybody, and welcome to this live webinar. My name is Jonas Hagströmer Theodorsson, and I work at Keywordio as head of sales for Europe. I'm super happy to be here today, and the theme will be how to really scale your e-commerce business globally by the help of Google Ads. So with that, we're gonna have a quick look at the agenda. So I first would like to introduce Lisa, who joins in from Google. And Lisa has a background from Google in Dublin, where she has been focusing on helping retailers and e-commerce companies grow globally. So really happy that you're here, and also welcome to Morten, who also have a background from Google and also Dublin, helping some of the largest agencies, for example, in Denmark, to help their e-commerce customers grow at global scale. So the agenda, Lisa will give you first latest news and updates on automation and signals for Google Ads today and for shopping. And then Morten, you will talk more about e-commerce at scale. So with that, I would like to hand over the word to Lisa and take it further.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jonas. Very happy to be here today. And just we can also notice that you are able to ask questions during the webinar, and we will be able to take those in the end. So Jonas will be the one leading the questions in the end. Yes. So you need to have a YouTube channel to be able to write those questions, but it's either on the right side or below the screen. We will see. So, yeah. Great. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here today. And as Jonas said, I joined Google starting in Dublin, and now I'm working in the strategic partnership teams, helping partners growing with Google products. And I'm very happy to be here with Keywordio, which is one of the partners we work very closely with. So let's get started. I will talk about the role of automation in the future of marketing and digital marketing, and also the signals you get from Google Ads and shopping. So just taking a step back and looking at how it is today. So what we see is that change have never been this fast, but at the same time, it will never be this slow again. So what does that mean to you and to your business? And are you ready to live in a reality that just keeps on going faster and faster?
It's hard.
It's hard, yeah, we'll see, but we'll try our best. And yes. I think Keywordio is also a company really future-oriented, looking on how you can solve the future reality with this.
That you don't know how it looks like, really.
That nobody knows. Maybe you know a bit more. Yeah, we'll see.
We try.
But then looking a bit into the future, coming up with virtual reality, Internet of Things, AI, voice recognition, we see that people are more and more connected. And by 2020, people will be connected to 26 devices. So lots of data, lots of signals coming.
26 devices.
26 devices, yeah.
That's a lot. That's
a lot of them. And also some of them you don't even consider or think about that you're connected to.
They haven't even been invented yet.
No. So lots of signals.
I was actually in a room here in Google yesterday, and I think it's for your Google Home launch. Yeah. And you kind of like talk to Google Home, like please turn on the TV and the lights and so forth. It was a bit next level for me. I typically do it manually at home, but
now the future is coming. So
the future is here.
It is here. And then just to connect all of this a bit to the search engine and to Google Ads, what does that mean? If we look at how it looked like a few years ago or 10 years ago, you can put the bids based on the keywords. Were the keyword successful? Did the keyword converted? Just on a regular computer. That was basically it, or how you optimized. Then we had a mobile device coming along, and you could see a bit on how did it look like on the time of day or day of week or locations. So adding another layer. But now, today, there's way more layers being added. So way more signals, way more information to take into consideration. And also just to understand the reality as well. So for a large account, we see that they have a large number of 100,000 keywords on average. And this means that every time there is an auction, they have different keywords and then all of these other signals to take into consideration. So how can you take a decision on that spot when the search auction is? then we really see the role of automation. But then also to just take a step back and see, now we have all the signals, we have lots of keywords. Why is bidding such a challenge? Just because bidding is very important for your performance. So you're able to show the right ad to the right person at the right time. And also, as the auction is very dynamic, you have to be there every day at the right point. And also the user journey gets even more complex. So how can you take all those signals into?
You have to be there every second.
Yeah, every second or every millisecond. Yeah. But then we really understand the role of automation. So for you as marketers, you should be able to do the job that you're best at doing. You should not do this machine-like job. You should be able to focus on the strategy and things that you can do. So therefore, we're extra happy to be here with you, Keywordio, who really focus on automation and how to help people. So just to sum up, with all of these signals, it's easier to have information about the customer, to know about their intent. And also then with automation, you're able to show the right ad to the right person at the right time. So Google has a lot of signals and data, but then you are the ones making it work. And,
yes.
And Morten will tell you a bit more about what they're doing and how what they are doing are complementing the signals that Google has. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, my name is Morten, and I work in Keywordio with Jonas. I also used to work in Google. This was 8 years ago, where I joined the team that you see in front of you. It was the Nordic team. So here we have Finnish people, we have Danish people, Norwegian people, and Swedish people. And it was such an honor to be headhunted by Google. And when I say honor, at that time I was a student, and they flew me over, I remember, and I thought it was such a big deal to be flown into for an interview. And I started working in a team that handled the medium to sub-large clients, let's say. And we were tasked to grow them, so add more site links, add more campaigns, and all these things. And it worked really well. The only thing is, it was very manual. And I'm a person who likes to, let's say, develop better solutions. So I went internal in Google, and at that time there was no developer resources. So I turned to my father, who's a developer, and I said, "Hey, I'm doing this. I know that it can be done with software. This is what I'm doing, and this is the output I want." And then we sat together and we did the spec for it, and we did the implementation. And then after, I think, 3 months, we had a functioning macro in Excel, which is very basic. And not to say that I'm ashamed of showing it now, but it was super, super basic. But basically, it helped me to optimize what I was doing manually in Google. And then, it worked really well. And I succeeded in it. And then I got to another team that handled the biggest agencies. And there I was like, okay, these must have software because they're doing it every day. Yeah. But they didn't. Now, this is also 8 years ago, right? So they've of course changed since then. But then I saw, okay, so since the agencies are not doing it and Google's not doing it, I think there's a chance here to do some difference for our clients. So I started Keywordio together with a friend called Daniel, who's not in this picture. But and then we are now in I think 7 or 8 different countries, and we have 4 different offices around Europe and 1 in India. So what do we really do? So this is a marketing slide called AI plus BI plus CI equal growth. So what does that mean? AI, I think everybody has at least heard about the last couple of years. So I won't go further into that, but we really focus a lot on artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have close to 15 developers working for us. And the biggest part of Keywordio is actually developers, because we believe that the future will come from our product, and we heavily invest in that. BI stands for business intelligence. So business intelligence is, for example, all the signals that you just showed. Day of the week, which device is it, have they been to the website before, and so forth, which you can access in Google. But we add more business intelligence into the picture. So for example, let's say you're an e-commerce shop and you're selling skincare, right? Then you will typically, if you're a multi-brand retailer, you will have a lot of different brands. Let's say Bare Minerals, let's say Limes, and so forth. And some of those brands you will pay a lot for, and they may not be profitable on a one-click basis. You may pay 50 euros to earn 80 euros. If you have to pay for your product, that may not make sense. But you can also track what happens after that purchase.
Yep.
So if you purchase once from AdWords, you can actually see, do they come back direct 5 times the next year? Or do they come back from organic traffic and so forth? So what we do is it's called customer lifetime value. Yeah. So we track the customer lifetime value because it could actually be a great idea to get them in as a cost, let's say, deficit when you get them in the AdWords, but then later on you make money on them, right? So we take the full circle of search into account. And then CI is customer insights. And that together is what we think is the reason behind the growth. And of course, the slide that you showed earlier with all the keywords and all sorts of things, back when you only had a keyword, you basically had only one tool in the toolbox to build a house, right? And then, the whole world needs to look at nails because all you have is a hammer, right? And nowadays, with all this information, it's much easier to set the bits, but it's also, of course, a lot harder because there's a lot of data. But when you know it's your right person, if you sell a lot more to women, it's a woman who's searching. If you know that the age group that you like that typically buys from you is 45 to 55, if you know that that's the person, I mean, it gets much easier to put a really good bid to get that ad in a high place.
So this is your secret recipe.
This is our secret recipe, exactly. The
Not
secret
so
sauce.
secret anymore.
Yeah, I'll quickly show away here. So Google has, according to this study, 3 trillion searches in 2017, and 15% of these queries are completely new to the search engine, right? So try adding on voice search, adding on all the devices that we don't even know will be here, but will be here in a couple of years, right? It adds a lot of complexities. Now, if you are a typical e-commerce shop, you will have anywhere between, of course, some people only have 10 products, but typically some e-commerce shops has 5,000 products, right? So 5,000 products, some of them goes in stock, some of them goes out of stock. How do you keep that track? Typically, you will have a feed that manages your website, but you also have that to manage your AdWords account or Google Ads account, as it's called now. Also, with 5,000 products, that's 5,000 searches. Maybe each product could be searched in a way like 10 times. So then that's 50,000. Then you have 2 genders. Then you're up to 100,000, right?
Yeah, it doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
It just keeps on.
And then you have 7 days a week. Then you're up to 700,000, and it keeps going. So you quickly goes into the million of, let's say, decisions you need to do. We think we're quite, let's say, good at this. But even if I had to do it manually, I wouldn't know where to start. I could maybe just look at one keyword, and I could look at maybe gender, and I could look at device and so forth. But quite fast, I lose track, right? So we do this every hour of every day. So also when we were sleeping, right? And I'm not manually doing it myself. So what are some of the typical challenge for e-commerce to scale? Scaling could be just within your country, or it can be over Europe, or it could be to the US or whatnot. But really the challenge is that, as I said, that the typical clients have a lot of different products. They may have 20 different categories. They may have 50 different brands, and within each brand they may have 50 to 1,000 different products, right? So it's really about making sure that you keep your online inventory online on your ads, or sorry, on your website, but also on Google Ads. So for example, how typical do you think it is for a client to change prices? I think they do it more or less every day or every week, right? Do you also change your prices online, right? So if you have an ad that says this clicker 50 euros, if you change it to 39 euros, it's not great if the ad says 50 euros, right? Because it creates a bad user experience. So keeping all those ads updated, and also making sure, we don't have this brand anymore, we need to take it off. That is also something that we see some clients have a struggle with. And then, of course, the bidding part of it, that is really also a huge challenge. And with that, I think also a challenge with that is what should be my target? Am I profitable or am I not profitable, right? So I'm not sure how many clients actually take customer lifetime value into account. So then you're basing your numbers on how much money do I get into Google and how much money do I get out of Google, right? But that's just a closed loop. So in that case, you're saying that all my customers, they will only buy once, right?
Yeah.
Because you also have repeat customers. So how does the repeat customer find you? Did they just wake up in bed one day and be like, you know what, I will go to this website, right? They need to find you somehow. And that's what we see Google search is really good at, because people search for products they want, right? So there's intent with Google Shopping, especially, but also Google Ads. People are searching for buy Bose headphones online today, right? So next slide. What is this? This is a Keywordio built software. We call it Ad Campaign Scheduler. For those e-commerce companies that do not have sales, this may be less applicable, but most e-commerce companies will have some sort of sale. Like a high-end clothing company will have typically 2 sales, one in January and one after summer in August, typically, to get rid of last fall sale and so forth. This is we did an ad for Nivea lotion. Skincare companies will typically have buy 2 get 3 or 20% off. Typically, a sale does not last all the time, right? And typically, it doesn't start at 8:05 or whenever you get into work. So what we see is that clients had a huge challenge with this, and then we built software to help them. So what we have now is that some companies have 10 to 15 different offers a week. Some of them last from Monday to Friday. Some of them last from Tuesday to Thursday. So we have software that enables an offer when it goes live, and then takes it off whenever it's takes off or taken off. So for example, let's say you have a Nivea lotion offer with 20% off. Then people will search for Nivea lotion. They won't search for Nivea lotion 20% off, because they may not know that it's there, but they will search for Nivea lotion. If your ad says the first one, Nivea lotion, buy online today, I'm not saying it's a bad ad, but there's no offer, right? So let's say that's your competition, and let's say you're below where it says, hey, we actually have a really nice offer Monday to Friday, right? That is a really great way to show to the client, you know what, we have a great offer. And it's what we see. It's also a great way to attract new customers, and new customers become existing customers. So it's really about converting new users into existing customers. Then when let's say it goes off Friday at midnight, I can tell you I'm definitely not working, and we have software that turns it off. Yeah. So when I'm at the bar, the software turns it off. So which bidding strategy are you using today? So when I started in Google, actually what we used was CTR, because back then I don't even think they had conversion tracking on every account. So basically just looking at how many clicks did I get for how many impressions, right? And the more clicks you got, the better. But you didn't really know what you got out of it. So eCPC is on the left. So I think that's one of the first things that Google invented. Basically, it analyzes all the conversions, and it bids up if they think there's a higher likelihood that you will get a conversion. I think it's 30% up, and then you can bid down to whatever. But it will not bid, for example, 40% up, because within eCPC, that's what you get. But it treats all the conversions the same. So it doesn't know how much money you get out of it. But this is great if you are, let's say, a little bit of a smaller account, and all your conversions are worth the same. Then Google came up with Target CPA. I don't know which year, but definitely within the last 6-7 years, I think. That's really good if you are a lead generator, and if you want to get as many leads as possible, and you're saying, hey, any lead, I will max pay 50 euros. And then you enable Target CPA at 50 euros per conversion, and Google will do the rest. And then you have Target ROAS. Target ROAS is a little bit of a later invention, let's say, within the last, I think, 2 years. And there, it basically asks, how much money do you want to get out from Google Ads? So maybe not everybody's been to Vegas, but everybody knows the slot machines, right? So you put in a coin, and then you pull the handle, and then maybe something comes out, right? But imagine Google Ads being that machine, and then you put in €1, and every time you pull the lever, you get €5 out, right? And then you put in another €1, you get €5.
That's not how it is in Las Vegas.
No, exactly.
Not everybody would go there.
And that's why everybody's on Google. So if you every time get guaranteed €5 out every time you put €1 in, then how long do you want to keep playing that game? Well, if you're profitable at 5-to-1, let's say, return on investment, you want to keep playing that game as long as you can. So that is really great if you know, all right, these are my margins, this is what I typically get out of it, and then I set my bid to every time I pay €1 to Google, I need to get €5 in revenue, right? So then if you pay 10,000, you need to get 50,000 out. If you pay 100,000 for ads, you need to get 500,000 out, right? And that's really great. The only thing that I would say is not lacking, but that doesn't take into account customer lifetime value, right? Then you're just saying that every user that purchases from us will be worth the same. Also, it doesn't take into account margins, right? It's basically just saying every time you pay 10, I need to get 50 out, right? But it could be that this clicker, and I'm not sure if people see the microphone in front of me, but they of course have different margins, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a high margin product, you can accept a lower return, right? If you have a low margin product, you need to have a higher return. So we work with one company that sells Garmin radios, and they're really expensive, but the margin is super low. So they actually don't want to sell them. They only have them in their store because it's a little bit of a product that you need to have to get clients to accept you as a, let's say, a professional hunting store, right? So we actually don't advertise for those online because they have such a low margin. And that's something where in the beginning I was like, whoa, this product is making a lot of money for you. It must be super good. And yeah, it wasn't. So we keep learning as well. But this was 3 years ago. I had this talk with him. But yeah. So this is the margin talk that I talked about. You can of course take in your gross margin, but you could also take in, do you have logistics cost, or do you have any other costs and whatnot? So you can really take that calculation to the next level. So Google Ads will typically have your cost, which is 100% guaranteed that will be in there, and it may or may not have the revenue, depending on whether or not you have imported the revenue. But that's the calculation does not, of course, end there. Any client will also have different margins, will have maybe marketing costs, this, that, and the other. So I think that the closer you get to a result, I think the better, because then a client can really know this is how much I spend and this is how much I get back. And that's also one of the challenges that we see, that with all these different margins, right? How would you do that manually? So what we do is we have software that has, all right, product one has margin X, price Y, and so forth, right? And then we know how much do we need to get back every time we invest €1. And then again, I would say some clients have also different margins depending on the different country. And that also is something that needs to be taken into account. And that's quite hard to do manually. So yeah, that we also have software for that. So this is quite an interesting slide, actually, if you ask me.
Lots of numbers.
Lots of numbers. You'll probably get a bit blind. So try not to analyze all the numbers, because there are a few rows that I think are important. So if everybody starts looking at the left column, it'll say campaigns and margins, right? This is actually a live data from one of our clients, where we split up the Google Shopping campaign into 6 different campaigns. So some people will typically have one campaign, and they may target all products, and they may bid either 5 kroners or €5 or whatnot, or they may have it on target ROAS. And then they say, every product, I need to get 5 times my money back, right? However, if you have different margins, maybe if you have a very low margin, like 4 to 9, you need to get around 16 times your money back, right? But if you have a very good margin, 34 to 40%, you can say, 4.3 is actually okay for me to get back, right? So it really depends on your margins. So with this client, we did this, split them up into these 6 different groups. The groups didn't come from us. It was the clients who was like, I think these are the margins we should have, and we thought it made sense. And then we split them up. And as you can see, I was going to point to the slide, which of course I can't. But if you see the second from the right is called conversion value over cost. So that is the ROAS, the return on ad spend. And you see the first one, which has 4 to 9% margins, has 16. And then it keeps going lower and lower and lower and lower, of course. And that's because we're setting different targets. Yeah. And then you get the the revenue like this. So of course, the one that has 9 to 4 has let me see. Oh yeah, so the interesting let's say question is, you have 9,932 in revenue. This is in pounds revenue from 29 to 34%, right? But if you look at the 9 to 14, you also have around 9,000, so close to 10,000 for both of them. But I would argue that the 9,000 or the 10,000 in the 29 to 34% margin is, of course, more valuable than the 10,000 that we get in the 9 to 14,000, right? But then, of course, if you look at cost, the cost is a lot lower, which is the whole point of it. But in any case, revenue is not the final metric. For most e-commerce companies, it tends to be either profit or customer lifetime value. And maybe in a year's time when we talk, we will do something completely new. Like you're saying with 26 devices, we are also keep on learning. And we actually learn with our clients. So this is a graph of how it looked like. On the left-hand side, you have the return on ad spend. On the x-axis, you have product margins. And as we can see, the higher the margin, the lower the return on ad spend, which is what I just saw in the graph. And actually, for this client, we had year on year 45% more profit. And we also actually grew them 100% in terms of revenue. But as I said, revenue is not the last number, but they became 45% more profitable. So really, really great numbers. And it really came from splitting out one campaign group into 6 and then being able to bid differently. The way we did it is, of course, to use software. So we get the product feed from the client, and we just ask them to add in the exact margin per product. It's not that hard for most clients because they will have that somewhere in the backend system. And then we categorize that into these 6, 7 different campaigns. And then from that, we created the different campaigns. And as you can see on the right-hand side, the return on ad spend is kind of a funnel. The highest funnel is where you have the highest return on ad spend. Towards the bottom is where you have the lowest. But that's also where you have more revenue. And anybody who has worked on Google Ads will know that if you have a very low return on ad spend, you can get in more traffic, right? Because you don't need to be that profitable. So the Google algorithm will be like, hey, now we can really go crazy here, right? And get in a lot of traffic. But if you need to have a high return on ad spend, you may not want to get in each click that you can. So that's the cool part about splitting them up into different campaigns. So yeah, that is what we do at Keywordio. We try to use a lot of artificial intelligence, a lot of machine learning and business intelligence to get the exact customer insights into the accounts and then optimize based on that. And so far, we're super proud to be working with companies that have actually won like the Gazelle Award in Sweden, for example, and have managed to grow to 4 new countries in just 2 years. So we're really happy to be also a premium Google partner, which we love to do. And if anybody needs any, let's say, advice or help or want to challenge us, we're here. We love to be challenged. And Jonas has his email, I think, attached to this invite, so you can always reach out to him. But yeah, I think that was it from my point of view. Do you have anything you want to add, Jonas? Sitting here to the right of me, come back into the.
Yeah. So we have
I think you have to squeeze in a bit more.
Yeah. So we have a short Q&A as well, and I think because I'm a person that I really like data.
Yes.
But is it always better with more data?
Do you want to take this?
Yeah, I can start. And
Yes.
then, so I think overall with more data, like data by itself doesn't have any value if you're not doing the right thing with it. So you need to be able to categorize, you need to extract value from it. So just data by itself has 0 value if you don't know what to do with it.
No.
So I would say that is the first thing that pops up.
I completely agree with that, and I think that more data is typically, people always say, is always better. The thing is that I heard this one guy at YouTube who said the thing is with big data is that at YouTube, if you want to watch all the videos, you need to live like to 1,500 years, which so far nobody's doing.
No.
So it's really also about extracting the right data, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you can get lost in all this data, but most of our challenge is actually when we do not have enough data. So let's say you have a small city in Sweden, let's say Linköping. I'm not saying it's that small, but let's say you only have 4 conversions from that city. does that mean that that's the best city in the world, or does that mean it's the worst city in the world if the value does not really correlate with the cost? Then it's really hard to make decisions. So not enough data is typically our challenges, but even if you have a lot of data, you need to know how to use it in the right way.
And also if with that, it's like you said, Lisa, it's really changing fast, and there's like new technology and new signals just adding on all the time. And also, like you said, the change is not going to slow down. It's going to be the other way around. So what do you think is the key for staying competitive in the future?
I think it's a bit dangerous because a lot of companies think like we have been good doing this, so we can just keep on doing the same. And you have that behavior and you have that culture because you know what you're good at, and then you think that will be your competitive advantage moving forward as well. I think that is the one thing that could be the most dangerous, to think like we are good now, so we will be that in the future. So it's about being perceptive to what's going around and like daring to fail and daring to try different things. It's very broad, but I think we take for granted that we're open to change, but in us as a human being, we don't like change.
No, exactly. I completely agree, and I think that it's very hard to, let's say, adapt to the future, or whatever we can call it. And I think it's true in business, but it's probably also true in like personal relationships or whatnot, right? You tend to, this has worked really well in the past, I'll keep doing it, right? But in business, we've seen many companies not failing necessarily, but really slowing down. And of course, I'm not an expert in this, but I think Microsoft had a bit of a challenge at certain times when they had Microsoft Word, and they had Office, and they had Windows, and at one point they slowed down. And then other companies like Google and whatever came from the inside, and Apple, and then took a lot of market share. Now Microsoft is back, and they're doing really well now, but it's also a challenge for us to always stay innovative and at the head of the curve, right? Because if we keep on doing what we're doing now, in 5 years, we won't be in a company, I think.
Cool. But then, as we work really hard on all our events, and we would like to share ideas and learnings, and really hope that you all got some new ideas and tactics that you can bring home and try and test. And if you want to know more, just reach out, and we will be happy to support you further. So with that, thank you very much for today.
One thing, you have both contact details here on the last slide. So if they want to know more, they can contact you. And also the QR code. What happens?
What happens?
Is that a surprise?
That's a
Christmas surprise.
That's a Christmas surprise for the QR code. No, but it's like you said, Morten. We always love to learn, and we also love feedback. So with this, you have a short survey. So please go through that and give us the feedback for this webinar. And we look forward to do a lot more of this in the future. So thank you very much, and have a happy Christmas, everybody.
Let's wave goodbye to them.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.